It's Tuesday. We have dog, we have coffee, we still have sleepiness in our heads because our brains are mush. Can only be time for
the morning brew. Yeah, before we get started, I'd just like to make this disclaimer. I love my friendly little fellow back here with all my heart. But if he keeps waking me up between 2:30 and 3:30 in the morning, I might kill him. Especially it's one of those mornings where I couldn't come back in and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
So from 3:30 till about 4:15, I just laid there.
Yeah, I woke up at 4:30 because...
And then I got up and started moving around making coffee.
And then we forgot to cut the alarm off, so at 5:30 it said, "Hey, it's 5:30."
Well, thank you for reminding me.
Yeah.
I know this.
Yeah.
It's a funny thing. We set an alarm. I'm normally up 30 minutes before the alarm goes off.
Let's see. Things that we haven't covered and why. Oh, we haven't done Omnipolitics 16 yet because, well, everybody's done him to death already.
Oh, God. They wore him, and I'm not exactly sure what he's done to Irate Bear, but Irate may or may not have messed up a little bit there and everything. Posted the man's name this morning on Twitter.
Irate or Suit Yourself?
No, Suit. I'm sorry.
It was Suit.
Suit Yourself.
You don't
I
go
was
after
talking
Suit.
Evidently, I guess him and Suit had a back and forth and whatnot. Anyway, and everything. So, Omnipolitics or Ivan Preston, whatever you want to be called, on your Facebook page. But not going to be much of a secret and everything. Because anybody that follows Suit Yourself on Twitter knows who you are now. Yeah,
and I'm sorry. There's nothing you can say to defend pedophilia. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing that you can show me that says pedophilia is not dangerous to the children that you victimize, or allegedly victimize, depending on whether or not you've done that horrible shit I don't even want to mention. Okay, PewDiePie's been done to death, so we're not going to do that one. Milo has released another statement this morning because of all the, and for all the people that took all the Drunken Peasants live streams and the Rogan interview and everything that got released as gospel, shame on you. With all the editing software now there is today, you have to take everything you see with a grain of salt, especially if the person being interviewed is hated by an entire group of people. I mean, seriously. Take the shit with a grain of salt. Alright, so his latest, and let me take a sip so my voice doesn't catch. This would have been around 1 o'clock this morning. Milo Yiannopoulos released a statement that says, "I am a gay man and a child abuse victim. I would like to restate my utter disgust at adults who sexually abuse minors. I am horrified by pedophilia and I have devoted large portions of my career as a journalist to exposing child abusers. I have outed 3 of them, in fact. 3 more than most of my critics. And I've repeatedly expressed disgust at pedophilia in my feature and opinion writing. My professional record is very clear. But I do understand that these videos, even though some of them are edited deceptively, paint a different picture. I am partly to blame. My own experiences as a victim led me to believe I could say anything I wanted on this subject, no matter how outrageous. But I understand that my usual blend of British sarcasm, provocation, and gallows humor might have come across as flippancy, a lack of care for other victims, worse, advocacy. I deeply regret that. People deal with things from their past in different ways. As to some of the specific claims being made, sometimes things tumble out of your mouth on these long late-night live streams when everyone is spitballing, that are incompletely expressed or not what you intended. Nonetheless, I reviewed the tapes that appeared last night in their proper full context, and I don't believe they say what is being reported. I don't advocate for illegal behavior. I explicitly say on the tapes that I think the current age of consent is about right. And like I said, at the time that I took this little snapshot of his statement, it probably would have been released at about 1 o'clock in the morning. So that's his latest statement off of Facebook. And being in the same boat as him, having been a victim of, child molestation, you do tend to either go one route or the other. You try to walk away from it, act like it never happened, and try and continue to live your life and hope that nobody ever dredges up that part of your life and asks you about it, because it's a very uncomfortable part of your life to talk about. Or when it's brought up, you try to dismiss it in a usual casual manner. Well, there's nothing casual about molestation or child sexual abuse. And a lot of times, if you're going to try and be flippant about it and try and make gallows humor about it, it can come across wrong. Especially if you have certain groups that are masters at editing to make you look like an ass. Which is what happened here. And before anybody starts arguing with me, no, I am not a fangirl of Milo Yiannopoulos. There are lots of things, you can ask him, that I don't agree with, that he has said. He is, as been stated before, a provocateur, a shit stirrer. He likes causing drama and seeing where the chips fall when he leaves. But he does speak his mind, whether you agree with it or not. And that's my 2 cents on Milo. And also, too, if you guys are on Facebook, this is a Jim Hunt cartoon. He is on Facebook. If you search for him on Facebook, you will find him. All of his cartoons are pretty much in this kind of style. And I absolutely love him. When I used to be on Facebook all the time, I used to make it a point to go over to his page and look at his cartoons. He even has intermittently contests to where if you win the contest, he'll cartoon you in his style and send you the cartoon. So there's a little shout out for him, even though I know he's not on YouTube. So, you know what that means it's time for?
What I was reading this morning. His mom hasn't had coffee yet.
I'm working on it.
And with that, it's time for the news.
Yep.
Police say newly freed gang member killed California officer. Whittier police thought they were helping a driver after a car crash. Then they say he pulled a gun. Officers Keith Lane Boyer and Patrick Hazel didn't know what the motorist allegedly had, that the motorist had allegedly killed his cousin hours earlier in the neighboring East Los Angeles and stolen his car. They walked up on the vehicle believing the motorist was in need of medical help, and they ended up in a gunfight for their lives. Los Angeles County Sheriff Jim McDonald said, Monday morning shootout killed Boyer. It left Hazel and the suspected gunman hospitalized and the Los Angeles suburb in shock. Boyer was the best of the best, Police Chief Jeff Piper said at an afternoon news conference. He wept as he described his friend of more than 25 years. All of us have been grieving, the chief said, and I don't think I had any tears left. The officers answered the report of a car accident at about 8:30 a.m. and the driver pointed them to the vehicle which had rear-ended his car, police said. That driver had gotten out and asked those he hit to help push his stolen car from the intersection, investigators said. The officers approached the motorist, a 26-year-old gang member with a history of serious offenses who had been granted early release from jail about a week ago. County Sheriff Lieutenant John Cornea said, When they get him out of the car, they go to pat him down for weapons. They can see he's got tattoos all over his face and all over his neck.
Karina said.
The man then pulled a semi-automatic handgun from his waistband and opened fire at the officers, who were wearing bulletproof vests, and shot back, Karina said. Boyer was pronounced dead at a hospital. Hazel and the alleged gunman, whose name wasn't immediately released, were hospitalized in stable condition and were expected to live, authorities said. See, this is a problem.
It is.
This is a serious problem.
We'll discuss it when you finish reading the...
Karina didn't immediately know why the gang member had been jailed or why he had been released early, but Piper and McDonald criticized laws designed to reduce the state's overcrowded prison population by moving some inmates to county jails and effectively reducing some sentences or providing early release. This is a senseless tragedy that did not need to happen, Piper said. Governor Jerry Bound issued a statement of condolence. Capitol flags were ordered to be flown at half-staff in Boyer's honor. Boyer joined the force as a dispatcher and jailer in 1989 and became a full-time officer in 1990. Boyer recently talked to the chief about retiring in a year or two. A divorced father with 2 adult sons, he played the drums in an off-duty band at charity events, with Piper sometimes playing guitar, the chief said. At the candlelight vigil, he promised to write a song in Boyer's honor. The Whittier Police Department has about 125 sworn officers who patrol Whittier and Santa Fe Springs. The department has had 2 other officers killed in the line of duty, a detective in 1979 and a corporal in 1977.
This is why gun control doesn't work. This is why gun laws don't work, because even though liberals will roll their eyes every time we say this phrase, when you outlaw guns,
only outlaws will have guns.
And this is the perfect example, because we know there are laws in place that state a convicted felon cannot own a gun, which means he shouldn't have had the gun to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But there you go, he had it. The state over, now I'm going to say something that's going to make people probably balk that probably don't know me very well, but if you did legalize marijuana in some of these states where crime is more prevalent, you would reduce the population of the jails. Because marijuana, I'm not going to say it's a victimless thing. You can't die of a marijuana overdose. Well, you'd have to smoke so much of it, it would knock you loopy to the point where you're unconscious, and that's a lot. But, you know, they do have an overcrowding problem. And I think one of the main reasons they have an overcrowding problem is because California no longer has the death penalty. And yes, I'm an advocate for capital punishment. If you are cold-hearted enough to kill someone either with a gun or a knife or by any other means, you deserve to have your life taken in turn. You have forfeited your right to live by taking another's life, in my opinion. Your ass needs to be killed.
Alright, what do we have next?
NASA wants to use satellites to measure snow data. Out of Denver, AP, instrument-laden aircraft are surveying the Colorado high country this month as scientists search for better ways to measure how much water is locked up in the world's mountain snows, water that sustains a substantial share of the global population. The NASA-led experiment called SNOW-X is using 5 aircraft to test 10 sensors that might one day be used to monitor snow from satellites. The goal? Find the ideal combination to overcome multiple obstacles, including how to analyze snow hidden beneath forest canopies. It would be, I say, a monumental leap in our ability to forecast water supply if we had this kind of information, said Noah Malach, a member of the science team for the experiment. 1/6 of the world population get most of its fresh water from the snow that melts and runs into waterways, said Ed Kim, a NASA researcher and lead scientist for SNOW-X. Right here is hugely important for people, he said. Snow has other consequences for society as well, including floods, droughts, and even political stability when water is scarce, Kim said. The key to predicting how much water will pour out of a mountain's snows each spring is a measurement called the snow water equivalent. The globe average is 30% of snow depth. Kim said 10 inches of snow melts down to 3 inches of water. But a single mountain snowbank contains multiple layers with different snow equivalents, making measurement difficult. The layers were dropped by successive storms with different moisture contents, and then lingered under different weather conditions before the next storm covered them. A further complication, at times during the winter some snow melts, so water will flow through the interior of the snowbank, distorting and absorbing signals from remote sensors. No single instrument can overcome all obstacles. We have these different sensing techniques. Each one works to a certain degree, Kim said. What's the optimal combination? 2 SNOX sensors will measure snow depth, radar and LIDAR, which stands for light detection and ranging. LIDAR uses laser pulses to measure distance. 4 sensors will measure snow density. 3 other types of radar, plus a passive microwave instrument, which detects how much of the Earth's natural microwave radiation the snow is blocking. 2 thermal infrared sensors will measure temperature. A hyperspectral imager and a hyperspectral imager, still asleep. Multispectral imager will measure how much sunlight the snow is reflecting, which helps determine how fast it will melt. Aircraft will take instruments on multiple passes over 2 areas in western Colorado, Grand Mesa and Senator Beck Basin. Ground crews will also analyze the snow to verify how accurate the instruments are. One key technology used to predict snow runoff in the American West is the Snow Telemetry Network, or SNOTEL, operated by the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Natural Resources Conservation Service, because, government likes alphabet soup, so the more letters, the better.
That's right.
More than 800 automated SNOTEL ground stations scattered across the West measure the depth and weight of the snow, the temperature, and other data, and transmit them to a central database. Federal agencies use SNOTEL to produce daily state-by-state reports and maps on how the current snow water equivalent compares to the long-term average. Water utilities, farmers, public safety agencies, and wildland firefighters track the updates closely to help predict how much drinking and irrigation water will be available in the spring and whether they will face floods or fire-inducing droughts. SNOTEL collects data from individual points, but the holy grail of mountain hydrology is a way to estimate the distribution of snow water equivalent across broad mountain landscapes, said Molich, who is also director of the University of Colorado Center for Water, Earth Science, and Technology. SNOX could be a step toward that, he said. Government agencies that forecast the spring runoff say satellite data on snow water equivalent would help them, although they base their predictions on multiple sources of information, including rain, temperature, and current river flows. The Colorado Basin River Forecast Center in Salt Lake City, one of 13 weather service centers that predict floods or river shortages nationwide, uses some NASA satellite data now, hydrologist Paul Miller said. Satellite images show how much of the region has snow cover and how much dust on the snow, he said. Dusty snow is darker, so it absorbs more heat and melts faster. Snow water equivalent data from satellites would be another source of information that we could look toward as guidance, Miller said. It would definitely be something we would monitor and we would explore. So, there's that one. I figured that little bit of science would be a neat little break from all the bad news. And if they do get this to work, it would be a boon. I mean, it'd be really nice to be able to predict exactly how much water there is on a runoff. That way, if there's a heavy snow winter, people can prepare for a flood, or if it's kind of thin, they know a drought's coming. So NASA's still working, just not in outer space. Thanks, Obama. But, I digress. You want to read the next one?
Let's see. What is the next one? Ooh, yeah. I'm just going to shot. This is a horrible thing. Red Crescent. Libya has 74 bodies of migrants washed ashore. Cairo. Scores of bodies, presumably of African migrants, washed ashore in Libya, in the western city of Zawiya on the Mediterranean Sea. Libya's Red Crescent spokesman said on Tuesday. At least 74 bodies were found on the beach in Zawiya, but the circumstances of their drowning remained a mystery. The aid organization's spokesman, Mohammed al-Misrati, told the Associated Press. The bodies washed ashore overnight, but there was apparently no sign of a wrecked boat or vessel they had been on. The agency posted on its Twitter account photographs of dozens of bodies in white and black body bags lined up along the shore. Al-Misrati said the local authorities would take the bodies to a cemetery in the capital of Tripoli that's allocated for unidentified persons. Migrant deaths have risen to record levels along the Libyan-Italy smuggling route across the Mediterranean Sea. Last week, Fabrice Leggeri, director of the European Border and Coast Guard Agency, said the Libya-Italy smuggling route across the Mediterranean has seen record numbers of migrant drowning deaths in 2016. According to Leggeri, the recorded migrant deaths along the central Mediterranean route stood at 4,579 last year, which still might be much less than the true loss of life. That's compared to 2,869 deaths in 2015 and 3,161 deaths in 2014. There is little sign of the surge abating, even during wintertime. There were 228 recorded deaths in January, by far the biggest monthly toll in recent years. Leggeri blamed the very small dinghies and such poor vessels for the high death rate. In Libya, the turmoil engulfing this North African country has become a death trap for thousands of migrants, most of them from sub-Saharan African countries, seeking to escape poverty and find a better life in Europe. Libya, divided with competing governments, is run by militias, many of which profit from the smuggling and human trafficking. Rights groups have documented migrants' horror journey, which involves torture, rape, and forced labor inside Libya. The country sank into lawlessness following the 2011 uprising that turned into a full-blown civil war that led to the toppling and killing of longtime dictator Muammar Gaddafi. Since then, human trafficking has thrived amid Libya's chaos.
Jesus, that's just... wow. I mean, you don't want to think about it, but I mean, it's there and it happens. Muammar Gaddafi was an ass. But I mean, it just didn't help after he died. It's just, to me, it just created a vacuum, and everybody's been fighting for it ever since. It's just sad. Alright, next story. Iraqi military says troops consolidate gains south of Mosul. Baghdad. Iraqi forces were consolidating their gains south of Mosul on Tuesday, ahead of moving into the city's Islamic State-held western half, a military spokesman said. The remarks came on the third day of what is expected to be the definitive push to rout the Islamic State group from the city, Iraqi's second largest. The spokesman of the Joint Military Operation Command, Brigadier General Yahya Rasul, told the Associated Press that nearly 123 square kilometers, about 47 square miles, have been taken south of Mosul since the new push started on Sunday. The troops now fully control the strategical hill of Abu Saif, overlooking the Mosul airport as well as the Hammam al-Alil intersection on the main highway into the city, Rasul said. Elite Iraqi forces have moved to join the regular army and the security forces on the ground, he added, but wouldn't say what the next steps would entail. Meanwhile, Iraqi state TV broadcast footage on Tuesday showing Iraqi fighter jets pounding Islamic State positions, vehicles, and personnel in Mosul's western half. The report didn't say when the airstrikes took place. Consolidating the gains lays the groundwork for the Iraqi troops' next stage of the operation. Entering Mosul's more urban neighborhoods with old and narrow streets, a densely built-up area with a population of up to 750,000 people, it will likely contain booby traps and roadside bombs. Mosul, which is now the last Islamic State urban stronghold in the country, fell into the hands of the extremists in the summer of 2014 when the Islamic State group captured large swaths of northern and western Iraq. The battle for Mosul, backed by the U.S.-led coalition, has already driven the militants from the eastern half of the city, which is divided by the Tigris River, into the two sectors. Ooh, so there's, an update from that part of the world.
Oh, yes.
And Daddy gets to read this one. I tweeted out a little blurb for this yesterday because I wanted to find confirmation, and we found it shortly after, which is why I tweeted this out. So I'm going to let Ronan read this one.
Trump's new national security advisor, a soldier scholar. President Donald Trump has chosen his national security advisor, a soldier scholar who fought in both Iraq wars and published an influential book that called out the U.S. government for lies that led to the Vietnam War. Army Lieutenant General H.R. McMaster would remain on active military duty while leading the National Security Council, White House officials said Monday. He joined two retired generals, Defense Secretary Jim Mattis and Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly, already in Trump's inner circle, adding to the impression that the president prefers military men in top roles. Trump called McMaster a man of tremendous talent and tremendous experience when he introduced his new national security advisor at his private Florida club. McMaster, who returned to Washington with the president, said he looked forward to doing everything that I can to advance and protect the interests of the American people. McMaster replaced retired General Michael Flynn, who was fired last week after Trump determined that Flynn had misled Vice President Mike Pence about the nature of his discussion with Russia's ambassador to the U.S. during the presidential transition. The White House said McMaster was one of 4 candidates Trump interviewed for the job over the weekend. McMaster has been heavily involved in the Army's efforts to shape its future force and its way of preparing for war. He is the director of the Army Capabilities Integration Center, a sort of military think tank at Fort Eustis, Virginia. McMaster commanded troops in both American wars in Iraq in 1991 when he fought a storied tank battle known as the Battle of 73 Easting, and again in 2005-2006 in one of the most violent periods of the insurgency that developed after the U.S.-led invasion in 2003. He is credited for using innovative approaches to countering the insurgency in the northern Iraqi city of Tal Afar, where he commanded the 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment. He later served as a special advisor to the top U.S. commander in Iraq. McMaster, born in 1962, earned a doctoral degree in history from the University of North Carolina outside the Army. He may be best known for his 1997 book, Dereliction of Duty, Lyndon Johnson, Robert McNamara, the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the Lies That Led to Vietnam, a searing indictment of the U.S. government's mishandling of the Vietnam War. The book earned him a reputation for being willing to speak truth to power.
We need that.
How closely McMaster's and Trump's views align were not clear. On Russia, McMaster appears to hold much dimmer view than Trump of Moscow's military and political objectives in Europe. In remarks at the Center for Strategic and International Studies in May 2016, McMaster said Russia managed to annex Crimea and intervene militarily in eastern Ukraine at zero cost from the international community. McMaster said Moscow's broader goal is to collapse the post-Cold War security, economic, and political order in Europe and replace that order with something that is more sympathetic to Russian interests. In his current role, McMaster has studied the way Russia developed and executed its campaigns in Crimea and Ukraine, where it used what some call hybrid warfare, part political, part disinformation, part military. The National Security Council has not adjusted smoothly to Trump's leadership. The president has suggested he does not trust his holdovers from the Obama administration and complained about leaks to reporters. His decision to put his top political advisor on the council's senior committee drew sharp criticism. On Friday, the head of the council's Western Hemisphere division was fired after he criticized Trump's policy and his inner circle of advisors. Trump said retired Army Lieutenant General Keith Kellogg, who had been his acting advisor, would serve as the National Security Council's chief of staff. He also said he would be asking John Bolton, a former U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, to work with them in a somewhat different capacity.
You know, I hate it when they put vague things like that in an article. Somewhat different capacity. Wonder what he means by that. Alright, and the last one. And this one is a little grim, but we've been expecting this to come out for a while. At least I have. Cases involving alleged drug theft at VA health facilities. Government data obtained by the Associated Press show that incidents of drug loss or theft at federal hospitals have jumped nearly tenfold since 2009 to 2,457 last year, spurred by a widespread opioid abuse, and the U.S. federal authorities report that doctors, nurses, or pharmacy staff, mostly in the Department of Veterans Affairs health system, had siphoned away controlled substances, while other cases, drugs intended for patients, simply disappeared. Some notable cases: alleged VA drug theft. Arkansas. 3 VA employees in Little Rock were charged this month with conspiring to steal prescription medications, including opioids, from the John L. McClellan Memorial Veterans Hospital. A 2016 investigation by the VA Inspector General's office alleges that a pharmacy technician used his VA access to a medical supplier's web portal to order and divert 4,000 oxycodone pills, 3,300 hydrocodone pills, and other drugs, costing the VA $77,700. The VA employees were also charged with conspiring to distribute those drugs, which had a street value of more than $160,000. Utah. An associate chief of pharmacy at the VA Medical Center in Salt Lake City recently pleaded guilty to acquiring possession of a controlled substance by fraud, according to the Inspector General's office. The VA employee was accused of diverting about 25,000 pills, including oxycodone, hydromorphone, Adderall, buprenorphine, Ritalin, tramadol, and from the inpatient pharmacy from October 2011 to March 2015. A spokeswoman for the VA facility, Jill Atwood, said the hospital has since added new software, training, and made procedural changes to ensure that similar thefts don't happen again. New York. A former hospice nurse at the VA Medical Center in Albany was sentenced last year to more than 6 years in prison for admittedly stealing pain medication intended for patients. An investigation alleges the VA nurse stole the painkiller oxycodone hydrochloride from syringes to feed his drug addiction and replaced the contents with Haldol, an antipsychotic medication. Oh, God. At a sentencing hearing, family members of some of the hospice patients gave statements detailing the pain and suffering the nurse inflicted on dying veteran patients. Rhode Island. A former registered nurse in the intensive care unit of Providence VA Medical Center pleaded guilty last year to stealing prescription drugs. Authorities say the nurse admitted that on dozens of occasions over several months in 2015, she used an override feature of an automated medication dispensing system to obtain hundreds of controlled substance pills such as oxycodone and morphine. The pills weren't prescribed for or provided to patients. The IG's office said the nurse had previously been fired from a private hospital for allegedly diverting controlled substances, but was hired at the VA after making false claims in her application. Background checks, people. Extensive background checks. California, finally. A former resident anesthesiologist at the VA Medical Center in West Los Angeles pleaded guilty in 2015 to theft of public property and possession of a controlled substance while treating a veteran. Authorities say while providing anesthesia care to a veteran in surgery, the doctor passed out in the operating room after taking a sedative and injecting himself with the controlled substances, including fentanyl. His fully conscious patient lay nearby, and said he was initially frightened at the commotion was due to his own medical condition, according to news reports. My God.
So he sedated himself?
Yeah, basically. The doctor that was supposed to be working on the patient sedated.
Hey doc, how about my pain meds? Sure, dude.
Extensive background checks probably could have prevented a lot of this. And before people start saying, well, this happened under Obama's watch. Corruption, unfortunately, and I hate to admit this, problems in the VA hospital system have been happening for decades. This is not an Obama problem.
No, this has been going on since the tail end of the Vietnam conflict.
Mm-hmm.
And everything, because a lot of the Vietnam vets came back home addicted to opioids, including morphine, opium, heroin.
Mm-hmm.
And those were very, very prevalent in those areas. And it continued after they got back.
Yep. All right. We know what's next.
Shout outs.
Shout outs. We remember how we discussed this, what shout outs were yesterday?
Yes, and I'm so happy you discussed it with me and everything. I no longer want to scream at people when you put them up on the screen.
Okay, that's good. Alright, shout outs are next, guys. Alright, what you see is what you get. Andy Worski. Francesca Ramsey's hated enemy, to the point where other people had to send him screen pics of tweets as to what she was saying about him while they were having their feud. He is funny, he is sarcastic, he is hyper-manic on videos.
Yeah.
And his friend Chris has kind of calmed him down a bit. We hope.
Just a little.
Just a little. He is really cool to watch, though. Y'all come check out Andy.
Yeah.
If you haven't already. Alright, let's see here. Aracor shouting out another animator on YouTube because of the algorithms. There's a lot of animators that are getting a bum rap and they're getting pushed aside because, you know, animation takes a while to do. So slapping together, you know, lots of videos together just isn't possible for lots of really good animators on YouTube. And Aracor is making us, in the process of making us, our channel art and our intros for our MWM News Network channel. Network. So I'm going to give him a shout out. I told him I would, and he's going to be in every single description every time we release a video on that channel. So y'all come over here and check out his commentary, and he does feature his animations on his videos, and his animations are pretty cool. So y'all come check out Aracor. A black conservative. They are out there. They do exist. They may be rare, but he is one. Anthony Brian Logan. He will call out bullshit from either side.
Yeah.
We've watched a lot of his videos. He does mainly political commentary. And he does it in a very entertaining and in factual manner. So y'all come over here and check out Anthony. He rants, he commentates, he's sarcastic, and he points shit out. And he starts his videos with a channel roll, and every once in a while when something is so stupid he can't take it, he says he wants to drink bleach. It's Chris Reagan.
And let's not forget, there ain't no rest for the triggered.
Yeah, ain't no rest for the triggered. If anything, if you guys haven't been to his channel yet, look at his video playlist for his parody videos. Oh my god, those things are absolutely great.
Flipping hilarious.
They are really hilarious.
Look up No Rest for the Triggered. Listen to it, you know, and then hurry up over here, hit subscribe, hit that bell, get notified, because you do not want to miss his parody songs.
No, you don't.
The man's got loads of talent.
He's naked. He's an ape. He's sarcastic. He's a naked ape. Funny, witty, snarky, and sarcastic. This is one of the best apes on YouTube. Maybe one of the only apes on YouTube.
I don't know.
There's a lot of bears.
There's some apes too, because
there's monkey, but he's a monkey.
Yeah, that's the Iraqi. That's a ranking monkey.
He is entertaining, factual, and he does montages as well. Come on over here and check out Naked Ape's channel, and if you like him, hit that subscribe button, because that's what we're all about over here on YouTube. Subscribing and getting notified whenever, your favorite people upload another video. So that is the shout-outs for the morning. All right. Questions from pets. Can I play outside? All right. That's not a question, but that's a cute puppy.
Standing in front of the open bridge. Why you're standing with the door open, asshole? You know you don't look up.
All right, let's see. You really gotta put me on the floor now? Huh? Will you pick me back up?
Dog, we missed you all day. Me, I was gone for 20 minutes. Cat, food bitch is back. Feed us, human. Me, asshole.
So who actually is a good boy?
Why are you in my bed? Yeah, I get that sometimes. Where you at?
There's no more chicken? That poor dog looks horrified.
Have you tried this absolutely delicious treat strewn all over the horse trail in the woods?
Oh my God. How can the world not revolve around me? Yours does.
Mm-hmm. Is that roast chicken for me? Is it?
Can we get rid of 5? Let's see. Oh God.
If we evolved from wolves, why are there still wolves?
Mommy. Now, what's that yummy smell coming from your crotch 5 days a month? Oh God.
Why don't you guys sniff each other's butts too?
Good morning. Oh, what's in your education? Oh, please, that doesn't even have to do with pets. Can I just have some me time?
Oh God. That's Tiny.
Yeah, that looks like Tiny.
That looks like Tiny Tot. I just had my ovaries removed. Will you rub my belly until I'm snoring and taking up the entire bed? Tiny Tot.
Did you fart?
Where were you? I thought you died.
Why can't I poop in Tim's room? It smells of poo anyway.
Why does this feel so good?
Okay, are we going to the beach today?
Will you rub my tummy? Works either way.
Any reason why they don't love me?
That wet pet I just licked off the bed? What was it?
You know I'm not really still a puppy, right?
Where did Mommy go? Did you break up?
And, are you awake yet?
Yeah.
Those are our hashtags.
Yeah, I don't get something that small doing it, though, and everything. Not anymore.
No.
And everything, because, unfortunately, the little dogs here, which would be Cuppy Cake and Tiny, they have another person that they're currently hanging out with. So that's pretty cool and everything. So I don't get this one little wet tongue in the morning right here in the ear.
Wet Willie. Chihuahua's good at Wet Willie.
Yes.
All right.
Or you wake up and your eyes are just about open and she runs up and shoves her tongue up your nose and everything, which will really wake you up.
So, as always, if you want to submit anything to the morning show, the links are down below. We already have one breaking news story on the MWM News Network. Please bear with us. Like I said, we have somebody making our channel art, and that breaking news story is going to be linked at the end of the video. So, be on the lookout for that. We absolutely love all of our subscribers. And if you want to start a conversation, well, that's what the comment section is down there for. So, anytime. Ronan I figured this out because I'm still learning this shit. I figured out how to make Ronan a manager on YouTube, so he'll be on there intermittently answering any comments. I heard that.
Oh.
I heard that. Insane in the membrane. Oh, insane. Got no brain. Okay. What?
You know what I might have to listen to now, right? She loves doing that to me. She will get an earworm started, and then I'm stuck, and I will go over there. I will try. I will do my best to, just let it go. Just let it go. And then I'll be YouTube. Search. Click. And then I'll have to sit there and listen to it at least twice now. Twice. So I can get my fix.
Yeah. He loves me anyway, though. You do. Admit it. You love me anyway. So
we'd like to thank our helpful sponsors and everything.
Yep, you guessed it. The rest of the closing part of our show froze. So, as always, may your coffee ever flow, may your caffeine be ever strong, and may you have a totally terrific Tuesday. Take care, guys.
Thanks for spending a bit of your morning with us as we sipped coffee, talked news, and had fun in the process. We appreciate you stopping by our little corner of YouTube and invite you to start a conversation in the comment section below. Don't forget to check out yesterday's video on the top right or a recommended video on the bottom right. And as always, stay funny, stay weird, and stay caffeinated.